All right, Panther Lair, let's continue our series talking about ball screens that Kyle Filipowski was involved in and how the Pittsburgh Panthers chose to defend them on Tuesday night. Now, this video is going to be about hedging those ball screens. We're going to look at 4 sequences here. The first 2 were successful for Pitt. The second 2 were not successful for the Panthers, and we're going to break down why. So this is something that Pitt mixed in pretty much exclusively in the second half. So this was pretty much their blueprint for defending ball screens involving Filipowski, probably for the first 15 minutes, but I think he checks out with 3 or 4 minutes left. And then also this is something they threw at them at the end of the first half. This is going to be a clip early in the second half involving Zach Austin and Guillermo Diaz-Graham. You're to see this hedge is effective. Hinson is getting ready to help on Filipowski. Austin fights over, ready to contain, and then Guillermo is going to make his way back to Filipowski. So job well done that the ball handler McCain here, more of a shooter, picks up his dribble, force the pass. He's not going to turn the corner, etc., etc. Mitchell, not a danger from out here, so he's going to drive, and Pitt is able to survive him getting 2 feet in the paint, and it puts him in a position where Guillermo is able to use a little bit more of his length and quickness here to get a ball denial on the post entry and actually force a turnover. Again, later, about midway through the second half, they're going to try this again, involving Bub and Federico. I talked a lot about in the up-screen video how important it was for the guards, or really pretty much the ball handler's defender, to get back in front of the ball handler. I think a lot of Pitt's failures were on the fact that the screener's defender, that being Filipowski's defender, was in help a lot longer than they should have been. Also, against a really good team like Duke, even a fraction of a second makes all the difference, so there's that. But you'll see here, Bub is able to get back in front immediately. Federico does a decent job, although, Proctor still turns the corner here. But this doesn't allow Filipowski to hurt them. And they ultimately are able to turn away Duke from getting, again, multiple paint touches. I think this still results in points for Duke. I don't know if I guess I didn't really play that one out. So these would be 2 ones that are not successful. So this is towards, I guess, the end-ish of the first half. And the ones that were harder to defend were ones that came out of transition. So, if they tried to hedge in transition, in which this might be a pitch ahead and just kind of a little pitch back. The thing here is that this was tipped way too early. So the fact they were trying to hedge was tipped immediately. So you'll see this is going to be a little toss back. And then Lowe is going to lean up against Filipowski, and you're going to see Guillermo start to pretty much initiate the hedge. And what happens against smart, good players is Jeremy Roach is just going to reject the screen. And we know Hinson, who has no blocks on the season, is not going to contest that at the rim at all. Same thing, second half, this time involving Austin and Guillermo. The danger here is in the last picture, the last play, Austin was kind of more on the wing. This time he's involved in the ball screen, and so is Guillermo, so you have absolutely no rim protection here when this happens. And again, they just kind of tip this a little bit early. Austin's kind of lean up against Filipowski. You can see Guillermo's loading up the hedge. He's right on Filipowski's back, and then just a simple reject of the screen, and they give up a layup. So this was a mixed bag. I think when they didn't tip that they were going to hedge, it was sort of effective, although we'll talk about why, or kind of how the Blue Devils countered to that a little bit later on. But for the most part, this was a nice little wrinkle. It threw them off balance enough, and the fact that they weren't really conceding any points on the initial paint touch was a positive, although you don't want to allow a team to be in the paint too much. But, something that, again, was probably 50-50.